All right, when you're multiplying decimals, remember to use your integer rules for the sign. So our integer rules, we use that triangle method. And I'm just going to draw this over here to the side. Remember, if your signs are the same when you're multiplying and dividing, your answer is positive. If your signs are different, then the answer is negative. So if you want to jot that down somewhere on your paper to help you remember those rules, you can certainly do that. All right, once you use your integer rules, you know if your answer is going to be positive or negative. If the product's when you multiply, you know if it's going to be positive or negative. Multiply like normal, ignoring the decimal first. So for number 1, I have 7 times 8/10. Well, I know that a positive times a positive is a positive. 7 times 8 is 56. Then, to place the decimal point in the product or the answer, count the number of decimal places in each factor. The product should have the same total number of decimal places in it. So I have 1 decimal place in the factors, so I'm going to start at the end and move 1 decimal place in the product, and my answer is 5 6/10. So number 2, I have 7/10 times 8/10. A positive times a positive is a positive. 7 times 8 is 56. There are 2 decimal places in the factors, so I'm going to move my decimal 2 places in the answer, and my answer is 56 hundredths. If there is no number in front of your decimal, it's a good idea to put that 0 in front of your decimal as a placeholder. That way the decimal doesn't get lost on your paper. And that doesn't necessarily mean you'll get it wrong if there's not a 0 in front of there, but on technology tests and quizzes, it might grade it wrong and your teacher has to go back and give you credit, or on paper it might look wrong because maybe your pencil's not dark enough for us to see the decimal point. So just keep that in mind. All right, number 3, negative 1 2/10 times negative 1 6/10. A negative times a negative is a positive. So I'm going to multiply 16 times 12. 2 times 6 is 12. Carry the 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. Now I put a placeholder because I've already multiplied the 1's place. Now I'm going to multiply the 10's place. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. And now I add them up. 2 plus 0 is 2. 6 plus 3 is 9. 1 plus nothing is 1. There are 2 decimal places in the factors, so I'm going to move the decimal place 2 decimal places in the answer, and my answer is 1 92 hundredths. All right, number 4, a negative times a positive is a negative, so no, my answer is going to be negative. 3 times 3 is 9. There are 2 decimal places in the factor, so I'm going to move my decimal place 2 places to the left and fill in empty places with 0. My answer is negative 9 hundredths. All right, number 5. I have 2 3/10 times negative 8 62 hundredths. I know that a positive times a negative is a negative, so my answer is going to be negative. And I'm going to multiply 8 62 hundredths times 2 3/10. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 6 is 18. Carry the 1. 3 times 8 is 24 plus 1 is 25. Put a placeholder. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 6 is 12. Carry the 1. 2 times 8 is 16 plus 1 is 17. I'm going to add them all together. 6 plus 0 is 6. 8 plus 4 is 12. 5 plus 3 is 8. 7 plus 2 is 9. And 1 plus 0 is 1. There are 3 decimal places. So my answer is negative 19 and 826 thousandths. All right, number 6. A positive times a negative is a negative, so I know my answer is negative. 15 and 100 times 4 and 95 hundredths. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 2 is 7. Bring down a placeholder. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 0 is 0. 9 times 5 is 45. 9 times 1 is 9. Plus 4 is 13. Put 2 placeholders. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 5 is 20. And 4 times 1 is 4 plus 2 is 6. So now I'm going to add them all together. That's 5, 9, 9, 12, 4, 7. There are 4 decimal places. So my answer is negative 74.2995. All right, number 7. When I have 3 numbers, I can only multiply 2 numbers at a time, so I'm just going to work from left to right. Negative 3 tenths times 25 hundredths. Well, I know that 3 times 25 is 75. And there are 3 decimal places. So this is negative 75 hundredths times negative 75 thousandths times negative 1700. So negative times a negative is a positive. My answer is going to be positive. I'm going to multiply this by 1700. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 7 is 49. Plus 3 is 52. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 7 is 7. I'm going to add them all together. And now put my decimal places. There are 5 of them. So that is 0.01275. Number 8. So I have 1 6 tenths times negative 4 tenths times 22 hundredths. I'm going to work from left to right. 1 6 tenths times negative 4 tenths. Six times 4 is 24. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 2 is 6. And I have 2 decimal places. So that's negative 64 hundredths times 22 hundredths. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 6 is 12. Add them together. That's 8, 10, 4, and 1. A negative times a positive is a negative. I have 4 decimal places, so my answer is 0.1408.